Did you know bison lived in the eastern states too? When Americans think of bison, they often think of large herds of mighty bison living on the plains and prairies. But it's important to note that before the Great Slaughter, they had a much wider range, living all over North America, even into places like Florida. These were the darkest colored of the bison, and even by bison standards they can be really dark. In fact, old bulls were described as being coal black, with white hairs around the nose. This is demonstrated by a depiction by Mark Catesby, one of the oldest of the eastern bison. In addition to this one, even though this particular depiction of the bison isn't all too accurate, they also lived in smaller herds, and at times some bulls could even be solitary, living alone. They also had shorter humps than the other populations of bison. Some sources claim that they were smaller than the plains and wood bison, but others claim that they were larger. Partly as a result, the hind and forelegs of the eastern bison look more equal in size than that of the bison living out to the west of the Mississippi River. Regardless, the animals were the largest herbivores in eastern North America at the time, larger than the elk and the white-tailed deer. I'm probably going to go into more detail on the eastern bison in a full-length video on them that I might make coming up, but before I continue on to other dino facts, gotta finish this one. They made large-scale migrations to salt licks throughout the eastern United States. Salt is beneficial and sometimes important to the diets of many animals, including bovines like bison and various herbivores. Thus, eastern elk, as well as many other herbivores in the region like the white-tailed deer, likely accompanied these eastern bison on large-scale annual migrations that took many routes to the salt licks. In addition, predators are likely to have showed up too, looking for an opportunity to hunt. Such predators include wolves, possibly bears, and likely the eastern cougar. In addition, they were probably hunted here at these salt licks for years before European settlers came. But when they did come, they would find all sorts of uses for the plenty of bison that they had hunted. The horns were often used to make powder horns. The meat was of course eaten, and the hide was used to make clothing and occasionally for other materials. Long after these bison went extinct in the eastern United States, their bodies, mostly their bones and horns, remained, especially in and around the salt licks. For years, they could just be found lying near the salt licks, and even once every now and then today, one of these old bones and skeletons will be unearthed. However, many were also taken in by the elements or by man. And on to the next one. Did you know the Kiowa parakeet had a loud shriek? Dang, I'm always talking about these birds. Oh, the Kiowa parakeet. One of the most interesting yet tragic extinct species on the continent. Well, let's see this interesting fact about them. Carolina parakeets had an intriguing lifestyle and had peculiar habits. They were interesting birds, however their calls were less than agreeable according to reports. They had many calls described. One was a loud key, hope that's close to it. Another was a sharp rolling according to Frank Chapman, ornithologist. And another one was a loud shriek, described as a deafening scream that disoriented listeners who heard it. It was one of the defining characteristics of the Carolina parakeet, frequently mentioned in most reports made about them at the time. And it was often part of the reason why some people chose not to keep them as pets. Well, of course, many others did keep them as pets, as the species had become popular in captivity and the pet trade was going strong. There's more information on this bird in my documentary of sorts that I recently uploaded. It took 3 months to make it. Please check it out. But seriously, yeah, go check it out, please. And then we move on to the next one. Did you know jaguars lived in North America? It may surprise many to know that jaguars are indeed native to North America and the United States. While some of you might have heard about the story of Macho B and his tragic death, as well as the celebrations and memorials that followed, today I'm going to tell you about the other extinct populations that live in and around the area, and even farther. They were found all the way from Monterey, California, to the swamps of Louisiana, as well as states like Arizona, Texas, Utah, Nevada, and Colorado. They were on the top of a food chain, one of the apex predators of the environments that they lived in North America. However, they would have also had to deal with and live alongside black bears and cougars. In addition, because grizzly bears were so widespread at this time, spreading as far south as Mexico, it is likely that they and jaguars encountered each other and competed over food and resources as well as habitat. If so, the interactions are possibly similar to that of big cats and bears from other areas like Asia and formerly North Africa. In the year 1866, the last jaguar in the state of Louisiana had been killed. In the decades that followed, many more would be shot, killed, and driven out of the states, and by the 1960s, they would be thought to be extinct. However, since at least the 1990s, several jaguars, but not particularly many of them, have been seen in the United States, such as the infamous Macho V, who unfortunately later passed away, as well as several others, some of whom are still alive. One of them, El Jefe, I hope I pronounced that right, has become famous and a bit of a celebrity like Macho V. In addition, before any of these jaguars lived the prehistoric subspecies known as Panther onca augusta, or the giant North American jaguar. These lived during the Pleistocene or Ice Age times. Once again, they were the apex predators of their environment like their later relatives. However, they had to deal with short-faced bears, American lions, various other kinds of large cats such as the American cheetah, as well as dire wolves, and various carnivores that had also become apex predators, along with such animals as today's gray wolves. Though the gray wolves would have probably been a different subspecies, maybe. In addition, the prey they had to hunt was also much larger. To overcome this prehistoric jaguar grew to great sizes, even by jaguar standards. Thus it has been called the giant jaguar. These large, powerful predators has been found all over North America, from Florida to Mexico to even West Virginia. And that's it for today's episode of Did You Know? I had fun doing this first episode. I hope to do more, and hopefully they don't take as long a time to make. Also, the animated videos are going to take a while to come out. They already take a pretty long time to make anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.